my understanding of addiction is always, this person can control quite a lot in their lives, but there's just this one thing where they struggle with, which I feel our guest has just highlighted that with her it's not like that. But I mean, I don't know what you're saying. With most addicts, do you find that they have a problem of addiction in
Yes.
sort of
It tends to
in
be
every facet
in
of their
every
life?
facet it tends to
So
be
they
like
want
that.
and you're saying like anything that gives them a dopamine
They'll
sort
be,
of
they'll be
reward,
addicted to it.
is they're going to be addicted
They'll
to
be
it.
addicted to smoking, alcohol, overeating, whatever it is. It tends to be like that. If they are not, then there's something that is like socially not acceptable. Maybe they're a woman and then smoking is, they don't think it's nice for them, right? But then alcohol, maybe wine, they'll be addicted to it. But if they were to drink alcohol, they would also have that tendency. You know what I mean?
Because the thing is, I've always thought about it as obviously with stimulants, any kind of stimulant, you're getting this dopamine, increased dopamine sort of use, and that triggers reuse. And so, I mean, if something is not a stimulant, where are you getting all this, sort of dopamine release or excitement, if I may put it that way, and continuous want to use of a substance. But yeah, I understand. I mean, if there's an underlying mental health issue, for example, if there's bipolar mood disorder, and every time you're manic, you sort of, you hop into all these different things, then we're dealing with a completely different sort of diagnosis. It's not someone who's just, an alcohol abuse, or, sort of an alcohol abuser, but we're talking of someone with bipolar and alcohol abuse. So I don't know if...
Have you heard this? Do you know the experiment called Rat Park?
Mm-hmm.
So Rat Park was an experiment where they took like pre-addicted rats that are addicted to morphine, okay? Then they put them...
So they were already addicted to
right? And they put them like, if you put them in a cage and there's like morphine, they'll just live their life just eating that morphine all the time. They'll die out of hunger, right? Even if there's food there, they'll just focus on that morphine. But then they put them in, then they did another experiment in like 1970, right? They put them in like a park. There's like things to play with. There's like a running wheel and all these other things. And there's also morphine. They would stop being addicted to the morphine and then they'd go play in that rat park.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's like addiction is more than just this drug is giving me pleasure. There's also something else that can make you, you're missing something that is like, it's something that's giving you like a reason or a meaning or something that can take you out of that addiction loophole. Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Nat?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it reminds me of that thing about the opposite of addiction is connection. It's that like, it's not about necessarily stopping the drugs. It's about finding something to replace it. Because I mean, I think addiction is a desperate attempt to meet a very violently hungry need inside. Some kind of desperate need that's so hungry it's willing to do terrible things to meet that need, and it's like, how do we start finding a way to meet our needs in healthy ways?
Like you must find what you're substituting it for. If you're overeating, what's the need that you're trying to fill with the food, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And then I don't think you answered my first question.
I hadn't finished
actually.
it. I hadn't finished telling you. We got distracted at the village.
Yeah. Okay, answer that, then tell us about the village, because we have to know about
Please,
the
you have
village.
to tell us about the village.
We do
how
need
you
to
ended
know
up
about
there. I
that.
think that's more important.
Okay, I'll get to the village, but so after the village, when I eventually came back, I started working again, got a job, but immediately started using and drinking again, and
Was that just because of the stress pressure, or?
I mean, I was quite traumatized when I got back from the village. It was an incredible experience, but it was also very traumatizing. So it was like, it's a very interesting thing to
we'll
talk
get
about.
there, yeah?
And so I ended up getting drunk at work and got caught, and they went through a process of dismissing me, and I was prepared to get help. They still dismissed me, but I went and I got help anyway. And I got sober for a few years. And during those few years, I also decided I was going to sort out my eating disorder. But I didn't sort out the stuff around the toxic relationships, because I thought I could still do all of that stuff. I thought I could still be in obsessive relationships and have my emotional roller coaster, my life be emotional roller coaster like this. And, and that ended up causing a bit of a mess. And about 6 years ago, it was about these are all the different faces of my addiction, and I can't actually be okay without them. So like with them, so it was about getting rid of everything. It was about like going, okay, I actually really can't do any of these things because it's not okay for me. And then what was very interesting for me is I found out what happens when you because then we had COVID, and my dad got cancer, and he was really, really ill, and I was really, really struggling. I mean, I had so much shame from what happened in the village and how I've destroyed my life, and I was really, I was really, really, really battling, and I got to a place where I actually thought that the world would be better off without me, that people would actually breathe a sigh of relief, that I wasn't around anymore, because they would be like, okay, but at least it's over, okay. So, like, no, we don't have to go through this with her anymore. So I tried to kill myself. And I was, what really got me, this was the thing that surprised me, is I didn't anticipate failing. It never occurred to me that I could fail at this. Like, I didn't know it was actually really hard to kill yourself. So when I woke up in the hospital the next day, I was furious because of, first of all, like, I'd really, really been planning on leaving. But I'd done even more damage. I'd done as much damage as if I'd relapsed and gone out into you know, wherever I would have gone to. I'd hurt the people I loved. But what was really powerful was that I was like, I don't need drugs to circle the drain. Like, I did not need any of my unhelpful behaviors to get me to a place where I'm done. And then I was like, because it's not normal to want to kill yourself. That is really not a normal place to be. So I was so lucky to get to admitted to Tara. I went to Ward 4 and 5 there, which I got beautiful treatment there. Food's not so great, but the therapy, the nurses, it was really good. I got introduced to DBT therapy, and and that was the first, like, inkling for me that my problem was bigger than addiction, that it was about mental health, and that I needed to actually learn the skills and learn how to live in a way where I'm okay, and I think the best way to explain that is that, sometimes I get these ideas that I'm capable of this much, but actually I'm only capable of this much. And whenever I try to do this much, I end up falling apart because I can't cope. But if I will learn to work within this much, like, first of all, that gradually gets bigger, but I'm an incredibly happy, useful, wonderful human.